Hi, it's Miss Priscilla at the Epsilon Library, and I am book talking what's called a documentary novel. So it is a fiction novel based on historical facts. So the facts of all this is true. It's just told from the 2 points of view of our 2 main characters. So there's a famous civil rights case that went before the Supreme Court called Loving versus Virginia. And the author is Patricia, I think it's Hruby, Powell. So it's under Powell in our fiction section. So, like I said, the author calls these documentary novels. So they are in our fiction section, but they are totally based on fact because it's written from our characters' points of view instead of written. It's also a novel in verse format, so there's a lot fewer words per page. So even though this is an oversized book and may look very long, it's about a 3-hour read if you read at the pace of what you would reading out loud, which is about how fast I read. I'm not a fast reader in my head. So, our main points of view are from Richard Loving and Millie or Mildred Jeter. And Richard Loving is white, Millie is black. They grew up in the same area of Virginia, grew up in the same neighborhood, knowing each other. And in 1958, they decided to get married. They knew it was illegal to do so in Virginia, so they went to Washington, D.C., which is very close, got married, and came back to Virginia to be near their families. And within 5 weeks, somebody called the police, and they were arrested and put in jail. And the judge said, hey, you can either serve out your jail sentence or you can leave the state of Virginia, which they did. They went to move to Washington, D.C. with some relatives, but Millie really hated living in Washington, D.C. She wanted her kids to be raised in the country the way she was, to be near her family. And this does not happen right away. There are a couple years between the time that they were arrested and moved to D.C. and this. But she originally contacted the U.S. Attorney General, which at the time was Robert Kennedy, and he said, hey, go talk to the ACLU, which is the American Civil Liberties Union, which still exists today to fight cases like this. So ACLU took their case, and the thing is you have to go through the courts. So they had to go through the Virginia court, and then they had to go through you have to go through all levels. Then there's the state Supreme Court, and then if you don't like your result, you can bring it to the United States Supreme Court, and they can decide if you want to do this. So basically, after 9 years of being married and not being allowed to live together in the place that they want to live, which is Virginia, near their family, after 9 years, the Supreme Court in 1967, I think it was, because it was they were married in 58, and in 1967 the case became before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court unanimously decided to outlaw or say all these anti-miscegenation laws are illegal. Okay, and there at the time of this decision, 16 states, including Virginia, had laws like this on the books, and there's an author's note at the end that the last state to actually officially take that law off their books was Alabama in 2000. Then the other thing that isn't mentioned in this book, but if you look up this case, you'll find a lot of this. And in 2004, there's something called Loving Day, and it's meant to celebrate the fact that interracial couples can marry of their own free will, and it's as a result of this case. So it's just a happenstance that Richard Loving's last name was Loving. I think it's perfect, and the ACLU even said when they took the case, this is perfect, because they were kind of looking for a case to bring before the court, and this was the perfect one. And like I said, I knew about this case, but didn't really know a lot about it, and this really brought it to life for me. So I really highly recommend this book. If you're interested in civil rights or something, like I said, it reads a lot like a fiction book. It's a fast read. There's little tidbits about how civil rights movements and things are going, like, school segregation and stuff like that. There's little facts in there as well about all the things that were happening at the time. But this is a fantastic case, and not everybody knows about this, so I think it's a really important one to know about. So I highly recommend Loving versus Virginia to anybody who is interested in kind of romance, but also history, civil rights, lots of things. And like I said, it's a quick read. So if this is your cup of tea, fantastic. If not, I will help you find something else. Have a fantastic day and keep on reading.